Okay.
We thank Tom Lewis for coming today to videotape this talk, because several of our people who really wanted to hear Chris speak are not able to be here because of family problems or for illness for themselves. And so Tom is so kind, he will videotape this, and then I will send it out to all the club members so that you will all be able to watch it again if you want to. I hope that all of you have looked at the handout on your table that invites you to write a letter to the editor about ballot measure 104. If anyone has come in and doesn't have one of these handouts, I'd like to give it to you. Would you please? I'd like to ask Carol. Carol's helping pass things out, but Carol, would you tell us about what Rush Limbaugh just had on his program as you were coming into the meeting?
Yes, I was late because I was listening to my favorite, Rush Limbaugh. And he was reading a letter, I just caught part of it, that Kavanaugh had sent to the White House denying all these accusations and how it's a witch hunt, etc. So I'm sure you all watch Fox News, so I'm sure tonight on Hannity or whatever it will go over the letter. And it sounded like it was excellent, and he's a fighter like Trump. So here's hoping.
Yes. I'm really grateful for our president. He is. I think that there are very few men who are strong enough to stand up to the continual lies and bashing and twisting of what he says and insulting. And I think that he is a man among men. I'm really grateful to have him as our president at this time. And I think that we need to do all we can to support him. As you know, we are Republicans, and we believe in the principles of the Republican Party and the platform. Let's do more than just give lip service to it. Let's take action. Let's support our president. When we're in groups, I know many people who are not Republican and associate freely with them. And I really don't care if they come back at me. But when I'm in a group and someone else brings up the subject of how much they hate President Trump, I would say just as nicely as I can, I heard something the other day that really gave me a lot of respect for him. And then I'll proceed to tell something good that he's done, and how much I appreciate the way that he has created an atmosphere where jobs can be created for all these people who are homeless, and how our welfare rolls are decreasing because of his actions. And I just try to give some good food for thought to some of these people who probably don't even hear it if they listen to CNN or MSNBC or some of these other news stations, because those others, the other news medias are not being, I would say that, I'm not going to call them dishonest, and yet they're not printing the news that would give any credit to Trump. So I invite you to when you're with people who say something mean about President Trump, or how much they're suffering under his leadership, just be nice, but say the truth. Tell them the truth. We're really glad that you're here today to hear Chris Barreto, our Vice Chairman of the Oregon Republican Party. Chris is really an outstanding woman. She runs her husband's office as well as being Vice Chair of the party, and has many opportunities and obligations to meet with people. She's a real good representative, and it's a privilege to have her with us today. Let's give her a good welcome. And we're very sorry that the microphone's gone on Fritz.
I will try and speak slowly and clearly and
and loud. How's that? I have to do that for my husband. He doesn't always hear me. So, well, thank you for having me. I have always appreciated the Republican Women and all that you do for the counties, for the cities, for the schools, your education programs that you have, as well as for our candidates. And this is a banner year for Oregon Republicans, and we are very excited. I am my husband's chief of staff. I'm also his campaign manager. We're from northeastern Oregon, the most northeastern corner of the state. So Greg's district borders both Idaho and Washington. So it gives you an idea. Wallowa County, Union County, and Umatilla County. And right now, as I'm here, is legislative days at the Capitol. And so this was very well timed. We're here and taking care of business. And there's a lot of scary stuff that they're bringing forth this year in the legislature, what they are proposing. And they're not telling as much as they usually do because they're waiting to see who the governor is. I mean, it will make a big difference as to if Kate Brown gets in there again, then they're going to run all of this stuff through. I mean, we're talking about up to 26 weeks employer-paid family time. We're talking about tax increases. We're talking about cap and trade. Just a lot of things. So this is a critical year, but we're very excited. We have some great candidates. I was just going through the candidate list here. We have 9 women running for office this year, and they're outstanding candidates, and we're supporting them in every way we possibly can. And you, Shelley Foster Davis, is in
District 15, North Albany, and I think Adair Village.
Okay.
Charlene, are you in District 15 out in Adair Village, or are you 16?
16.
On 16, okay. It's
Okay.
North Albany.
Okay, great. So this year, my husband is also deputy leader of the caucus, so I kind of get some inside information when they have different meetings about things, and they're pumped. I mean, the polling is coming in is very, very good. The candidates we have are just really outstanding, and the candidates, I'll be honest with you, that the Democrats are running, they are getting the most progressives that they can, which really does not fit the mainstream of Oregon. And I was able to work 10 of the 11 days of the state fair for the Republican booth, and the people that would come into the booth and just said, you know, this is not my party. The people that came in supporting Newt Mueller for governor, the people that came in and re-registered their voter registration said this is not the party that I knew 20 years ago. So that's all good news for us. I'm going to hit on a couple of key races. I'm welcome to questions and answers if you would want to ask me, but we have some great opportunities, especially on the coast. The coastal districts were taken by Trump. The South Coast, which Terry Greer is running in House District 9 down there, she's out of Coos Bay. She's running against an incumbent, Caddy McEwen. Caddy, on a personal level, I like Caddy, but the truth of the matter is she votes party line. And she is not a friend of the Republicans, she's not a friend of the district. And in a district that Trump won, we have an excellent chance there. Terry Greer ran against her the last session and only lost by less than 1,000 votes. So for an incumbent, it was kind of a sneak attack that time. This time, she saw it coming. They're doing a lot more as far as her campaigning, but we're doing a lot of campaigning too. So I think it was $100,000 that she was able to, I'm talking about Caddy McEwen, that she was able to raise the last election cycle, $75,000 of that she gave to progressive candidates that they got elected in the House. And so those are some things, she'll say she's a moderate, but the fact of the matter is she takes her finances and gives them to the progressives that Tina Kotek and Kate Brown want in there. So those are just a few of the things that, that we can use against her. And as you all know, as Jean said, they're pulling out all stops. They play dirty. They don't care. And it's very, very sad how low they will go. And these Kavanaugh hearings are just the example of it. And I just pray for his family daily. I just can't imagine what they're going through. But I think you're right. I think he's got gumption, he's got grit, and he has said, I'm not going to cave to this. You know, I'm just not going to do it. So please hold him up in prayer, especially his wife and his kids. We have Selma Pierce. She is in House District 20, she's running against an incumbent, Paul Evans, for those of you who don't know who he is, but he had 111 campaign violations since he has been in office. And so, as we're pointing out to his constituents, you know, 1 or 2 mistakes are one thing, but 111, I mean, seriously. So Selma is, her husband did very well when he ran for governor in that district. She is working hard. She's knocking doors every single night. She's got a team that's out there with her. And so Selma, she's just she's very involved in the community, has done lots of volunteer work. She's a dentist. She's retired, but she still does some of those projects for kids' exams and things like that. So that's Selma Pierce. Benita Lauer, she is on the North Coast. She is in an open seat, and this is kind of one of our gifts that have been given to us. Deb Boone decided to retire. She's been a legislator up on the North Coast, again a district that Trump took. So she has 2 opponents. She has an independent who is on his voters pamphlet statement says that he is the community organizer for the North Coast Progressives. And then the Democrat is a very, very, very left progressive also. So they are going to be vying for the same vote. So that's great for us. And so this gives Benita a great opportunity. Benita came here at 5 years old from Delhi, India. She has a great story. She is a virtual school teacher. She's continuing to do some of that right now. But she is one that she's been knocking a lot of doors. In fact, I just talked to her consultant on the way here, and the people are loving her. She's genuine, she's sincere, and she's compassionate, and they're looking for someone like that. And so, in her district, you know, one of the campaign slogans they're using is, "You can have a representative, or you can have an activist. Which do you want?" Because definitely Tiffany, that's running against her, is very much a progressive activist. So, good support for her. Lori Chavez Dreamer, she ran last time in House District 51. She is running against Janelle Bynum, which is interesting. Janelle Bynum has McDonald's there in the Happy Valley area. She is one that voted for the increase in minimum wage. She voted for taxes against small businesses. And just recently it came out that she is now putting kiosks to take orders at her McDonald's rather than hiring more people. So it's always interesting when it comes back to bite you, the things that you're doing. So Lori has been the mayor of Happy Valley, is currently the mayor of Happy Valley, very well respected, and she is doing very well. She's a worker bee. I mean, she gets out there and she works really, really hard. Very articulate, just a great person. Kind of hitting on the women right now. Kim Wallen is in Medford. She's taking Sal Escobar's seat. She's doing very, very well. It's a pretty solid seat down there, and she is doing very well. I mentioned Shelley. She is running in Andy Olson's seat, who, of course, is retiring, and we're going to miss Andy quite a bit. And I'm just going to say this. I don't know if any of you read the Oregon Public Broadcasting article about me that came out this last week. My husband and I usually have the caucus members over to our home about once a month, especially during the session. And we just have, it's just a fellowship time is what it is, just a time to get together. So I decided last year that we would honor the retiring representatives and senators. Actually, it was just going to be the House of Representatives, and then a couple senators said, well, can we be part of the party? And I said, sure, you know, the more the merrier. So anyway, so we planned this party, planned it, invitations went out over a month ago. Well, one of the people that I included on the invitation was Senator Cruz from Roseburg. And there was a lot of controversy in his resignation. It was the Me Too movement. It was Sarah Gelser making accusations against him. Rather than go through that process, he decided it would be best for all if he just resigned, which he did after 21 years of service. So this party was to honor 11 of our retiring representatives, 131 years of service. And Sarah Gelser got a hold of my invitation, which was at my home on a Sunday afternoon. It was a private event, and went to OPB about it and blew it up. And they called me, they called my husband actually, and said, you know, I understand the representative is having this party, and you know, how dare you honor Senator Cruz? And I said, wait a minute, it's my party at my house on a Sunday afternoon. It's none of your stinking business what I do. It's none of the Democrats' business what I do. But this is how aggressive these people are, for them to think that they can dictate what someone does in their home on a Sunday afternoon. That being said, I did cancel the event. At the request of some leadership, because they were going after Newt with it. They were challenging him on it. Was he going to come to the party? There were a number of things, and me being mean, I said, I don't want to cancel it. Matter of fact, yesterday was my birthday, and so a group of us got together and said, I want to put a whole bunch of balloons at the bottom of our driveway, and just see if anybody comes down and see what we're doing. That's just me being honoring. I didn't do that. But this is what the Democrats, they want to control every aspect of our lives. It's not just what they do in the legislature. You know, and I'm going to lay low on it right now until after the election, because I don't want to compromise anyone's race. You know, I don't want to put anyone in a bad position. But this assumption that every man is a bad man, and that every woman should be believed, I'm sorry, I just don't go along with it. I have 4 sons. I have 4 daughters and I have 4 sons. You know, I don't want people thinking that they can just come out if one of my sons at some point in time decides to run for public office because they want to discredit them. So anyway, that's off track. But I want to encourage you to really get active, and I know you guys already are, and I really appreciate that. I love the buttons that you guys made for the state fair for us, the red wave in Oregon. We really do see this coming, and that's the theme of the whole state fair. You guys always do a great job with your buttons, and that was very much appreciated. With that being said, we've got Selma, we've got Marty Hyan. Marty's she's running against an incumbent in the Woodburn, Salem area. Greg and I are actually going to have a fundraiser for her at our house in Kaiser in a couple of weeks. We have 2 homes, and Marty's out knocking doors. She's running against I'm trying to think of her name. When she was elected in 2016, the Speaker of the House decided it would be appropriate for her family to do the Dance of the Bulls, a Mexican dance, because she's Hispanic, on the floor of the House with the Mexican flag. Those were opening ceremonies for the Republican caucus in it would have been 2017, January 2017. So anyway, Marty's running against her. She's putting up a good fight. The unions are coming hard after her. There's a lot of money there. You may be aware of the fact that Oregon is not honoring the Supreme Court's Janus decision about union dues, and Mike Neerman was elected at the same time my husband was elected. Sal Escobar, Mike Neerman, and my husband are the 3 chief sponsors of the 105 bill, Sanctuary Cities bill. So please get everybody out there to vote yes on that one. But his wife filed a lawsuit against SEIU because they used union dues, and she's a union member. She works for ODF&W. Used union dues to attack ads against her husband, and she sued them, and she won. And so she was awarded a $3,000 settlement for past union dues for the past 2 years is what it was. The Janus decision says now you have to give the union members the option. They can opt out if they want to, but the Oregon unions have not done that yet. And so I know there's a number of people stepping up to the plate. They're being sued by the Janus in the Midwest somewhere, whoever brought that up to the Supreme Court. They are currently being sued for that. And so if they prevail, and if we have other union members that do what Deb Neerman did, this could be a huge, they figure a third of the union that are conservatives that don't want that, that's not how they want their taxpayer dollar or their union dues paid. So it could be a huge lawsuit against them that could really disable the unions. And, you know, we are hoping that that happens. Yes, absolutely. Probably more than a third. There's probably a lot of people that are, you know, kind of closet members that are out there. So So anyway, they use a lot of money in campaigns. I mean, I think you've heard me use the figures before, that when Dennis Richardson ran for governor, they donated like $985,000 to Kitzhaber, and 567 or something like that, $567, not even, you know, pittance, to Dennis. And so don't tell me that they don't, that's not what the money's being used for, but it absolutely is. And then they have the closed door backroom deals with the governor as far as races and everything else. And so in southern Washington, that borders, one of the counties that borders Oregon, I'm trying to think of what, Clark, I don't think it's Clark County though, because that's Seattle area. Anyway, the teachers just got a 22% increase in their wages. So this is what the Oregon teachers will be going after, increases like that. Then we have Sherry Health. Sherry Health is another gift to us. Sherry is running in Newt Bueller's seat. And I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, but it's a very Democratic stronghold down there. I have some numbers on her. It's the Democrats have an 11% advantage when it comes to voter registration difference. Newt's district is literally a donut that's cut out. They took the Republicans out of the middle of it and gave it to another representative, and he has the perimeter to gerrymander that particular seat, as is Mike Neerman's. This is very much gerrymandered. These campaigns are expensive. Hers is $1 million budget for that House seat is what it is. That's House District 54. But they have a gentleman running for that seat. And someone brought up accusations against him. And they wanted to run a woman in that seat. He won the primary. Nathan Bodie is his name. He refused to step down. He said, I'm not stepping down. I've done nothing wrong. They haven't been able to prove anything against him. I'm not stepping down. So then the Democrats decided to support the working families candidate, endorsed by Merkley, endorsed by Kate Brown, endorsed by Tina. And then it just came out in the last week that this woman lied on her voter pamphlet statement. She did not get the degree that she said she got the degree. So she not only backed out and is no longer running, but she also got fired from her job because she misrepresented herself on her job. So, so this is, you know, this is a really tough seat for us. It's very fluid. Oh yeah, you never know day to day what's going to come out or what's going to happen here. But anyway, you know, we ought to be able to hold the seat. I mean, and you know, they've imploded there. So yes, you know, these little answered prayers here that, as we go along. So there's another candidate, Dorothy Barrett. She's running up in Portland area, retired real estate person, very, very sweet, a tough, honestly, a really tough seat to be the incumbent in. But, you know, these people that step up to the plate, even though they know chances of them winning are very slim, we have someone on the ballot, and that's very important. And the Democrats do have to put money towards those campaigns, whether they want to or not. So that is, and then the gentleman that we have running, Mark Herbert, he is in House District 11. He's in the Eugene area, running for Phil Barnhart's seat. And he is running against a moderate. It's a tough race, but the polls have him even with him. So that is very exciting. We haven't had that seat for a long time. But they did, I was at a fundraiser for him, and they had taken a poll. The question was, do you want someone who has only government experience, which his opponent does, he's retired military, he's also been on some school boards and different things, or do you want a small business owner? 61% wanted a small business owner. So we, you know, the Trump economy, I can't tell you how exciting that is and what it's doing for, you know, the Oregonian. We have more money in our tax base right now because of the Trump tax plan, despite the governor and the Democrats disconnecting us so that small businesses couldn't get that because of companies coming back from overseas. You know, on a personal level, we have a small manufacturing company. We have 120 employees. We hired 30 new employees since December. So 60% increase in our business alone. We make small lawn and garden equipment. So, you know, when you can hire more people, when you can expand your base, when you can ship internationally as well as domestically, which is what we do, that's good for everybody. And for them to say those are just crumbs or those, you know, I think the 30 people that we hired at a working wage appreciate having a job. I mean, you know, Union County is a little tiny county in northeastern Oregon, population of, you know, LaGrange, which is where we are, is, you know, only about 12,000 people. That makes a big difference, especially when one of the mills just shut down. 90 people lost their jobs because of one of the mills. So anyway, we are excited. Like I said, the polling is great on these candidates. You know, when we first kind of came into it, we were kind of wondering, you know, if we can't lose a seat because then we're in a super minority, which they'll do whatever they want. But we're looking that we can pick up 3, 4, maybe even 5 seats right now because of the way things are going. So anyway, I would just encourage you, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Newt. Newt is doing a great job. Newt is working very, very hard. I've known Newt since he ran for Secretary of State, and we had the Oregon Republican Party had our state central committee meeting last weekend over in Baker City. And, you know, there's a contingency of the base, which I understand. I am very pro-life. You know, that's just who I am. That's who our family is. And Chair Courier put out a very good question, because that's one of the issues that comes up with Newt. You know, why are you this way? Well, Newt has never hid who he was. Newt has always been who Newt is, and I appreciate that, even if I don't agree with him on the social issues. But Bill said, is there anything that you can think of that Kate Brown is to the right of Newt Bueller on? Anything. One thing. Just one thing. No, there's nothing. There's nothing. So as Bill pointed out, you know, then we're going to move to the right if we get him as governor. It may not be as far to the right as we want, because we would all like to have these things changed, but it's a move to the right. And when you look at the appointments he can make, you know, he can really clean, talk about draining the swamp, he can clean house on these agencies that have been corrupt, that when Kate Brown was Secretary of State did not do her job as auditing like Dennis is doing, and Dennis is doing a great job. And keep him in your prayers. I just talked to Dennis this week. You know, as all of you know, he's suffering from a brain tumor. But he has treatments, and he's down in Southern Oregon. Kathy's taking really good care of him. He sounds tired, but he's not giving up. I mean, he said things are going very well for him. So, you know, if she had done her job like Dennis is doing his job, we wouldn't be in the same situation we are now. But Newt can clean house. That would give us 2 people on the Lands Council, which is huge, especially for those areas that are timber dependent, to make big changes there. And then the judges, just like Trump is doing on a federal level, that's what the governor does on a state level. So anyway, you know, when you talk to people, when you encourage them, first of all, get out to vote. You know, look at all of our candidates, work really hard for, you know, phone banking, knocking doors, just talking to people, whatever you can do. You know, because we've got great potential to really start making some changes in Oregon. Probably the best we've had in a long time. And a lot of it is just God's grace. I mean, I look at this and look at the different races and the things that have played out, and it's very, very exciting. So anyway, thank you, and I will take any questions that you might have. Yes?
Have you seen any recent polling on the governor's race?
I have. Oh, I can't say I have seen it. I have heard about it. How's that? And it's they're virtually tied, and they're within 3 or 4 points of each other. So there was one poll that came out a few weeks ago. It showed Newt 10 down. The polls more recently than that, they are tied again. So I can't answer that. I know someone from the East Coast that did it, which personally, I prefer out-of-state polling because you don't have any skin in the game, you know, rather than those that are more local. It was someone from it was done by a lobby group. I do know that. It wasn't done by his campaign. It was done by a lobby group, and a pretty big lobby group. So that's what just recently came out. So I mean, that's great. I mean, we have, well, the other thing is the RGA, the Republican Governors Association, has invested in his campaign. They're investing another probably $1 million in his campaign. The ORP is working with them, you know, on a couple of different levels as far as getting the information out there. We're going to be doing some mailings. for Newt. So, like I said, this is the first time in a long time that they've been watching this race, you know, and they don't invest unless it's at least a 3-point, within 3 points. They just don't, but they would love to turn Oregon red when it comes to the governor. I mean, that would be a real feather in their cap, and rightly so. Yeah. Pam?
Oh, I was wondering if you were going to talk about the ballot measures at all.
Oh, would love to.
Mike gave us the one that he was going to vote no for, and everything else was a yes. Because they're very confusing when you.
Yes, they are very confusing, and they do that on purpose. And I mean, you know, the Democrats are in control, and the fact of the matter is, they're in control. They decide, you know, what bills go forward. They decide who's on committees, and they decide how the ballot, you know, the Attorney General decides on the ballot measure titles. And I mean, it just stinks. But yes on everything but 102.
That's what he said.
Yes on everything but 102. And even though it may sound confusing, so.
Is it 101, 102, 103, 104?
Actually, there is no 101. There's 102, 103, 104, 105, and 106. So there's 106 is no taxpayer-paid abortions.
Okay, so
That's
I did
106.
the 105 for sanctuary cities.
105 is no sanctuary cities.
But it's a yes.
But it's a
yes
yes.
on
It's
those
a yes.
sanctuary
Yes, that's right. It is a yes. And there's lots of signs. You know, you guys can get signs. You can put them out there. 3/5 means 3/5. I think that's the one that you talked about. 104 is 3/5 means 3/5.
Why do they not have to follow the Constitution?
Because they got, okay, talk about judges. This was a ruling from legal counsel from the Oregon Supreme Court, from what I understand. Maybe just legal counsel at the Capitol. But there again, those are all appointees of Kate Brown's. They said that, this is the first time they've ever done this, that if the tax exists, just because you increase it, it's not a new tax. So that's how they got it through. That's how they got through. Now, the 3/5 means 3/5. For those of you that don't know it, 44% of the budget are fees. And you don't have to have a vote on fees. The agencies can increase the fees. And my husband has his private pilot's license. So 2 years ago, he got the new application. You have to register to get it. 100% fee increase. Went from $100 to $200. I have my nurseryman's license, and my fee did the same thing, but it was like a 35% decrease. So I just put out there on Facebook, if any of you have to register at an agency for a fee, I would like to know how much your increases have gone through. We all know how much our hunting licenses have gone up. I mean, $40 for a salmon tag, just for a salmon tag.
Yeah.
Hunting licenses, all of this. So I put it out there, and Jeff Stone, who is the president of the Oregon Nurserymen's Association, I put on there, you know, I just got my nurseryman's license, it's going up 35%, and he came right back. I didn't even know he was following me on Facebook, which, you know, I don't know who's following this. He came back and said, that's not what we agreed to. I said, well, here it is, and I took a front and back picture of it. Anyway, the next morning, I got an email from the Department of Agriculture saying all fee increases for nurseryman's license has been placed on hold. We're reevaluating it. So I called up Jeff and I said, I don't know who you know or what you said, but it worked. He said, well, it was a collective effort, but yes, it did work. So that's what we need, are collective efforts on these things. And so this 3/5 means 3/5 isn't just taxes, it's fees, and it's licenses, and it's taxes. So it's everything. You want to raise our fees by 100%. No, you come back and you have to have a supermajority on that. And so it is, because these people have no spending limits. I mean, it just goes on and on and on when they start talking about all these additional taxes. Good grief.
A big part of that also are the deductions, your mortgage interest deductions.
That's right. They would like to take away charitable donations. They would like to take mortgage interest away. Oh yeah, they have. So Oregon is the 7th highest in the nation per capita on governmental spending. So to kind of put that in perspective, Oregon spends $9,070 for every man, woman, and child in the state on government services. California spends $6,800. Idaho spends like $3,700. Washington, it's $58. You know, those are those are close, they're not exact numbers, but close in there. So why is it that Oregon is one of the highest in the nation? And it's never enough. And yet our PERS increases are going up. We're cutting classroom teachers in the classrooms because of PERS. Greg was talking to the superintendent of the LeGrand School District. 36% of their budget is for PERS. 36%. So that's a huge cut out of how can you facilitate a classroom when you have those kinds of expenses? The other thing that people don't know that is if you have a non-English speaking student, and this goes back 4 years, so my numbers might be a little fuzzy on this. Greg was on the education committee at that time. A non-English speaking student, the schools get $3,000 per year for that student. Do you know what a TAG program gets? The talented and gifted program? $100 a year. $100 a year. So you wonder why there's not an aggressive effort to get these kids speaking English. It's because, you know, there's funding there. I mean, it's just, there's all of this stuff that goes on, and it gets very frustrating. You know, what we want for our kids is a good education. What we want is a good standard of living for everyone. You know, low-income housing, it all has to be done at Davis-Bacon wages because it's a government project. Well, that's another 50% above what would normally cost. So instead of having an $800,000 project here, you have a $600,000 project because you have to pay $800,000 for a $600,000 project. So these are the kinds of things, this is why we need new leadership, you know, this is why we need to make the changes, this is why it's important that we get these candidates in, and if you can contribute to any of these candidates, $5, $10, you know, some people a lot more than that, every little bit helps, I mean, every little bit helps. And I was talking to the Bueller campaign, I went up there, grabbed a bunch of signs and took them back to Eastern Oregon for the counties over there on one of our trips back home, and they were saying that their small donor program is through the roof. I mean, there's never been a gubernatorial campaign that has as many small donors, which shows support for what he's doing. But it adds up to big dollars. I mean, it adds up to millions and millions of dollars is what it does. And it's going to be an expensive race. I mean, they're going to throw everything, you know, Bloomberg, you know, Soros, all of those people are going to throw a lot of money at that race. And so we just need to help in any way that we possibly can.
Are we currently at 25, 35, or
Yes.
what's our? So
25, 35, yes.
So 5 would give us a split.
It would, yeah.
It's the magic number.
Yeah. Well, you know, even if we had 3,
I know.
even if we got 3 seats, Tina Kotek would not be Speaker of the House. And
Why?
because we have moderate Dems that will vote with us for a different speaker. Because she is so egregious. I mean,
there's a
well,
lot.
I don't know if you guys know who Brad Witt is. And Brian Stout is running against him. He's there again, up that way. He was the chair of the Ag and Natural Resources Committee. And when the first time, that's another committee my husband's on, the very first day he said, this is Ag and Natural Resources. We're not Democrats, we're not Republicans, we're going to do what's best for the citizens of Oregon. And that's how he ran his committee. And you know, I like Brad on a very, you know, on a personal level. He's a great guy. Don't like him having a D behind his name. But he endorsed Dennis Richardson for Secretary of State, and Tina pulled his chairmanship. Took him off every committee that he had a prominent position. Said, nope, you endorsed a Republican, you're done. And the Democratic Party, the DPO of Oregon, had a vote at their state central committee meeting and kicked Brad Witt and Betsy Johnson out of their committee. And said, you're no longer welcome, you're no longer a voting member for the DPO, because Betsy too endorsed Dennis. And said, you're out of here. So, you know, we have people that there would be a different speaker. I'm not saying it would be a Republican, but it would be someone that's much more moderate, much more reasonable, and the committee assignments would look much different than they are right now. So, anyway, but yeah, we're going for 5. Yeah, 5 is the magic number. 6 would be really good. But if
We're not getting greedy or anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we are. Does anybody have any other questions for me? Okay. Thank you very much. Like I said, get out and vote. Tell your neighbors to vote. Tell your friends to vote. You know, and talk to everybody that you possibly know, and just say, you know, it's time to make changes. 30 years. And we just keep spiraling down. It's time for some changes. So, yes.
Is anybody else encouraging people to call Bob Corker's office, Susan Collins, Jeff Flake, Lisa Murkowski? Because we all need to be calling
Yeah, we do.
all 4 of those offices. They don't answer their phones, but they're doing a tally. How many people are calling and standing up for Brett Kavanaugh? So I've got all their numbers here.
Perfect.
And I'll give them to
Yes.
somebody because I really
Absolutely.
think we need to stand up for Kavanaugh.
We'll send it out an email to
Okay,
everybody.
I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Well, and it used to be that you were innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
Now, anybody can accuse anyone of anything.
We all have some.
And we all have, I mean, you know, sons, husbands, brothers, you know, dads. Really, just because someone says something horrible. I mean, I told my husband, he's always been very careful about interaction. You know, always an open door policy, or someone else is in the room, never meet alone with a woman, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But I said, you know, when it comes to certain members, I said, I want a 3-foot rule. That's my space. If you want to talk to me, I'm serious about this. You want to talk to me, that's fine. You stay there. If it's confidential, I'm sorry. You made a choice here. You're the ones making accusations against different people. I'm going to protect my space. And I told him, I said, if I have to step in between, I'll step in between. I don't have a problem with that one. So anyway.
They made fun of Mike Pence.
They did make fun of Mike Pence. And we have very much the same policy that Mike Pence has as far as that goes. And you know what? Good for him. Good for him. So anyway, thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad to have her where she is doing what she's doing. It's just wonderful. Thanks for all of them. And your family sacrifices too, because you give so much time for the good of the state of Oregon. I want to welcome our newest Republican woman, Winnie. Would you stand up and let everybody welcome you? She just joined. And also, let's see, Pam, I want to invite you to come up and say hi to the whole club. Pam's our district director, and she's so fun. We went to the national convention together, and she just made
We had a great time.
We had a great time.
I'm Pam Niffen, and I'm District 3 Director, and I've been remiss this year. I have yet to come see you. I have a very good excuse. My daughter got married in May. And then I hurt my knee, and anyway, long story, but anyway, I'm so glad to see you all. It's such a great group of women. And I haven't had my district meeting, but Stella knows about those kinds of things. She was my district director for a long time. But it'll be November 17th in the morning in Salem, if anybody would like to come. And anybody's welcome. It's just to kind of gather any of the women together and join. There's 4 clubs. It's you guys, Capital City Republican Women, Polk County, and then Lynn County. So great, really great clubs. I swear I have the best clubs and the best president. So I don't know who's going to follow this lovely lady. I can't believe she left you guys.
It was a terribly hard decision.
Yeah, Tri-Cities. It's cold there in the winter and snowy.
But it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. My sister and my niece live there, so it's okay. But anyway, you guys have any questions? I'm always, if you can get my phone number, you know, I'm always open to questions and